Bulls fans everywhere talking about Josh Giddy's next contract. What is it going to look like? Does he deserve it? We'll talk about all that. Plus, we actually get a positive injury on Josh Giddy as well. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every single day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Hayes, host, creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. You talk about who's going to win a $5 bet. We're going to have a lot of $5. That's going to be Josh Giddy on his next contract. But before we talk about that contract, we got a positive Josh Giddy update yesterday, Pat. About midway through the day yesterday, Josh Giddy is out of the walking boot. He said that he's already on the treadmill. Billy Donovan did say that they will evaluate him to get a more clear timeline here in the next couple of days. But for what it's worth, it seems like he avoided a serious injury. He even said he thought it was a lot more serious when it initially happened. But it seems like crisis averted there. How you feeling, Pat?
Listen, I think that this is a good thing to hear, that it is crisis averted. This is what you wanted to hear. I know some Bulls fans were like, "Oh, now we can shut Josh Giddy down." No, you don't want to shut Josh Giddy down. You want Josh Giddy to continue to play, to continue to prove that he is what you hope that you're going to have to eventually pay. And listen, I think that this is a good situation for the Chicago Bulls to be in, where you get to see the team a little bit without Giddey, and then hopefully you get to see him come back sooner than later. And we don't have a timeline on that just yet, but of course, if it's not as serious, I would assume that Giddey's going to try and get back out there, especially for this deep Bulls playoff run that's getting ready to happen here. Here we go, boys. Everybody lock in.
Jesus, man.
I just love saying it because it's just like everybody's just like, oh, they're really gonna do this, aren't they?
They are. You get over it. It's happening. No, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm glad that Josh Giddy isn't suffering a major injury. More so than anything. I'm not even about the contract or anything. It's just because this is a young player that's figuring it out, and you don't want that momentum to stop. And I get it that everybody's so many people rooting against whatever for different type. You said it once, and I've loved it. I've used it since. Anybody who actively roots against a player on your team just so you can be right about something, you're weird.
It's weird.
You're just weird, right? Even you, Pat, when you had your time of doubting Josh Giddy. Since Josh Giddy's been playing well, you know what? It's hey, stuff's changed.
But I'm at beef with him.
People try to stop making this sports thing your personality. So many people make this their personality, and that's all that they have is that. And then it gets crushed, it gets hurt if a player proves them wrong. You should be happy. I don't understand the people that are mad that a player that's on their team at 22 years old is playing better. What?
It's bad for the long run of the team, Hayes. We're going to lose the draft pick. He's putting up 29, 10, and 10.
Yeah, your guys are so weird, bro. It's just so many people. You know what it is? People don't have actual basketball knowledge, and they replace knowledge with takes. And that's the worst place that you can be in. Just let the facts be the facts, and then form your opinion based off that. It's so stupid. But that's basketball purist. I'm not finna get it because I get those. Hayes, you're such a basketball purist allegations all the time. No, I'm smart. That's what it is. I'm smart. If a player plays good.
I love that basketball purist is just logical basketball.
Exactly. If a player plays good, guess what? I'll say they play good. If a player plays bad, guess what? I'll say they'll play bad. Yeah. That's not purist. That's just reality. I'm sorry that being in reality is making me a basketball purist.
Unless it's Chris Middleton. He always plays bad.
Chris Middleton. I mean, it's in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. You can't go wrong.
But with that said, Pat, I want to talk about this. Josh Giddy's next contract. There's been a lot made about it here in the last couple of days, mainly after Brian Windhorst brought up that he's going to want starting point guard money. The average of that is $30 million. I've never really thought about that, honestly, either in the evaluation. I've never thought about hey, what's the average going rate for a starting point guard if he's going to be our starting point guard? I've always looked at it as the value based on his performance at XYZ. do you? I know you have your thing of I said 30 million. But do you think that that's still that's going to be the price he's going to be able to get? Because I still think either way, the Bulls should allow him to go out and find a deal, like help the market, help set their value. Because there's only two teams that can even offer him anything close to 30 million. That's the Jazz and that's the Brooklyn Nets. The Jazz may not even be able to do that if John Collins picks up his option. What do you think, Pat?
I'm kind of actually locked in around there. I mean, listen, probably the Bulls will work something out if he wants to stay here, right? If he wants to be a long-term piece here, you'll probably end up a little bit lower than $30 million. But I think Josh Giddy comes in with that as his asking price, and you always go high and then work your way down low. Yep. Take that for what you will. But to me, like the conversation of how much you have to pay Josh Giddy is based off of the other contracts that Josh Giddy can currently see on the team. And when you put yourself in a position where Patrick Williams, who has been just about useless this entire season, is making 18, well, I got to be making double that because I'm giving you triple the production.
Yeah.
At least double that. Because I'm giving you triple the production. I have proven to be a much better player. There's no way I'm going to be making anywhere near what Patrick Williams is going to be making if I'm giving you almost a triple-double every night, and not just like 10, 10, and 10, but like 20-point triple-doubles every night, and he's giving you triple-digit minutes a week on the bench. Like, we're not having that conversation. So I think the Bulls have kind of put themselves in a tough position with some of the contracts that they've actually signed on the team. And to me, and I get it, it's not apples to apples because it's a different position, but if you're going to have a conversation on me making money and I'm looking at my teammates and somebody's making something near me, nah, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and that is any good agent, right, is going to go to it and be like, all right, listen, this is the value that we think we are. This is part of what we think you are. These are other deals that you've gone out and given. And that Patrick Williams $19 million contract not only is going to continue to bite the Bulls in the butt because of his production, but also because now you have 4 players up for contract extensions in the next 2 years. You got Giddey, Coby, Ayo, and Dalen. Not to say that Dalen really has done much more, but listen, as long as Patrick Williams got 19, I'm looking at 6. Like I'm looking at 6.
Hey, look, 6. I'm playing just as good as Pat will. Actually, I'm playing more than he is. I'm looking at 19.
So any good agent is still going to have that as one of the negotiating ploys, and that's why. And especially Coby and Ayo, like they took less. You gave Pat 19. So
get cooked.
I mean, the Bulls front office better be prepared for this one. But I'll say this: to me, there's no problem, and I don't feel like there's any disrespect in the Bulls saying, "Hey." The Bulls benefited, and I know this was the prior front office, by letting Zach LaVine go out and sign an offer sheet with the Kings. You know why? Because the Kings put injury provisions in that contract that could have gotten a little tricky had the Bulls went to the table. At least Zach LaVine and his people realized at that point, like, all right, bet the other teams are also looking at injury provisions.
Yeah.
Same thing with Josh Giddy, right? There's no harm, no foul. Now, if you come to the table and you guys can agree on a deal, great. Like if he comes to the table and Giddy's like, we want 30, you want 26, let's meet in the middle at 28.
Right.
Boom, let's walk away. Everybody kind of loses something in the deal. But if it comes down to the thing where you have to, prove what the market value is, I don't see any issue with allowing the market to help dictate some things.
Only issue I see with it is the two teams that you mentioned there are desperate right now.
It's true.
That gets scary. If you're a desperate Brooklyn Nets team, and what you thought your team could be built around was a Ben Simmons type of player. Now he's not going to play the defense that Ben Simmons is going to play, but he's going to give you more offensively as far as production passing, and he's giving you the rebounding, and he can actually score the basketball and isn't afraid to shoot the 3 ball. Josh Giddy is almost bizarro Ben Simmons. He's like Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons, never mind. That was, wow, that was about to get bad.
I mean, listen, Josh Giddy doesn't shy away from contact. Ben Simmons, if you sneeze on him, he's like, oh, wait.
Hold on. Oh, my back. Fashion week in 2 days.
You want me to shoot a 3-pointer?
Fashion week in 2 days. I got to get over that. But no, like I think the conversation around Giddey is tough when you talk about letting him go and hit the market, because I think Brooklyn would say, we'll give you $30 million. We ain't got nobody else to pay.
Yeah.
He might as well try to pay you. And if nothing else, at least we get to stick it to the Chicago Bulls, who are an Eastern Conference team, and make things more difficult for them. Like, I think that you would be hard pressed if you let Giddey actually hit the market, because you may be paying him $30 million no matter what versus just negotiating straight up with him.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, I don't think that's hard pressed. Like, 30 million is 30 million. Like, it is what it is. I think that also
30 million.
I said 30 million.
Get your money up, not your funny up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the future does hold. Either way, before we end the segment, real quick, Pat, percentage. What are you putting on that Josh Giddy's back in the Bulls uniform next year?
98.9%.
98.9. All right, cool. Next up, we're going to continue talking about this time Trey Jones and the chance that he has with him being a starter now with Josh Giddy out at least a couple of games. We're going to get into that, but first we got to get into a couple of messages. The first one's from TurboTax. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. I also have another message from one of our sponsors, and that is Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your professional CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on merch. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Pat. Trey Jones. Trey Jones is set up to be in a really, really good scenario. As a starter, Trey Jones is averaging, I think, like 12, 5, and 5 almost, which is crazy when you think about more times than not, he's probably the smallest player on the court, right? The Bulls seem to always be blessed with solid rebounding guards, regardless of size. Shout out to that. But Trey Jones has a great opportunity here. I think the reason to focus on Trey, outside of him maybe having a future with the Chicago Bulls, Trey Jones was a player that wasn't even in the rotation for the Spurs. So in a lot of ways, Trey Jones has kind of saved his career with this run here with the Chicago Bulls. Do you think he could possibly have a long-term future here in Chicago?
Not with Lonzo Ball here.
Okay.
And I think that's the part that's tough. There's just too many guards. It's too many guards. And I get Lonzo could play more than just the guard position.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you're going to re-sign Coby, if you're going to re-sign Al, first off, re-signing both of them is already going to be difficult enough. You've got Giddey, who I think is going to be back. Terry's probably out of there in the long run, although I don't know what the heck you count Dalen Terry as. But there's when you start to go down the guard list, you just go, okay, well, who do we get rid of? And while Trey Jones is talented, and I like Trey Jones, and I want to see him on this team, I want to see him continue with this team, I think that he needs to probably be one of those first guys off of the bench. I don't think that there's a real spot for him on this team with all the guards that are currently here when everyone's healthy, right? If Dosunmu is playing and Josh Giddy is playing and Lonzo Ball are playing and Coby White is playing, where do you throw Trey Jones in at? That's where I think it gets tricky, because the reason
gets tricky with Billy Donovan. Powerful.
Well, he's playing him at center. You know what I mean? Trey Jones, I need you on some small ball 5 minutes, baby. You know what I mean? But again, and you're also thinking, right? I would assume the Bulls are going with a taller player in the draft this time around. Although you never know with
you
this
never
team.
know. You never
But
know.
I would assume that you're probably going with a power forward or a center. That's somebody else who's going to be getting minutes, hopefully off of the bench, and or possibly being inserted into the starting lineup. Like I don't have a spot for Trey Jones. It's not to say he's not talented, and I wouldn't love to keep him, but when everyone's healthy, where do you play him? And maybe that's the conversation with Lonzo being on the team. Will everyone always be healthy?
That's the thing too. And I think it comes down to this for me, right? The Bulls have 12 guaranteed contracts next year. They have 3 open roster spots going into that. One of those is because Josh Giddy is a restricted free agency. We all expect him to be back. That leaves THT and Trey Jones. We have a first-round pick and a second-round pick in this draft. You have to open up spots for those. Now, the second-round pick draft, as we talked about before, you can sign a second-round pick to a 2-way contract. So technically, you can maintain an open roster spot if that's what you choose to do with your second-round pick, depending on who that is. So there's a possibility to bring Trey Jones back. But like you said, at that point, you're looking at there are so many guards on this roster. Now, there are still pending trades. We heard that the Bulls have done some groundwork on an offseason trade for Nikola Vucevic. So you can expect Vuce to be one of move, but you're still getting players back more than likely. You're not, unless you're finding a team that can absorb all this salary. If you can do that, shout out to the Bulls on that case. And then, so it just gets difficult, right? And I know people say, well, just waive Javon Carter. It's not that simple. This isn't football, right? Like, he has a guaranteed contract. Even if you were to reach a buyout with him, which he has no incentive to give up a lot in that case, it still is going to count against your salary cap. So then you're still not going to be able to, the Bulls are still going to be right up against the luxury tax, which means they're probably still not going to sign anybody. So it's a bunch of aspects that play into this for Trey Jones. Would I love Trey Jones just all things even, be able to stay on the Bulls? Yes, because he's shown me everything that I want from a Bulls player in this time. He plays hard. He gives effort on both sides of the ball. He's smart. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he knows how to defer to players or when to attack. I love that as a point guard aspect of things. But unfortunately, he's on a team that just off GP has Coby, Giddey, Lonzo, Ayo, right? All these guys have played point guard at some point in their career. They've all can also play other than point guard. That's just that's not even mentioned Dalen, right? Like other guys who can play the guard position. It just may be a perfect storm of the wrong situation and scenario. But let me throw one to you. Lonzo's been out for a while. I don't know when Lonzo's coming back. Let's say he does finish the season strong. If a team comes calling for Lonzo Ball this offseason, because you do now know that you have Trey Jones who you can negotiate and bring back, are you more apt to trading Lonzo if a team's offering a low first? Because keep in mind, a team like Minnesota, who I think would be perfect for Lonzo, they have Detroit's pick this year. Detroit's pick is going to be in the 20s. If they were to call and say, hey, we want Lonzo next to Anthony Edwards, would you be willing to do that? Even if it is a couple of seconds, but if it's that Detroit first, they increase your chances of keeping Trey Jones.
Yeah, dog. Listen, I mean, like when you're the fact that we're here, I guess, right? Maybe with a contract and him being a little more locked down, that I would make that trade in a heartbeat. The concern is now the entire NBA has seen yet again Lonzo Ball have a hot start to a season and miss a good amount of time here with some injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was missing time before the All-Star break, played a little bit after the All-Star break, has missed some time after the All-Star break. Like, I don't see you getting a first-round pick. I think the best offer you had is probably gone.
Okay.
Yet again. Like, that's the part that's tough about this. You resign him to a 2-year deal. Yes, it's an easy contract to move. It's not difficult at all. But if I'm another team and I go, well, did you shut him down, or did you, is this just Lonzo?
Yeah.
And why would I believe you if you said you shut him down?
Now, I'm not trying to throw the team any bell. I'm not trying to throw Lonzo any bell. But this does feel a little shut him down-ish.
Yeah, it does.
It feels a little shut him down-ish.
But see, I think it's the difference is, though, this is a detriment to the Bulls.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Shutting him down is a detriment to the Bulls if that's what they did. Because if that's the case, well, you shut him down because you're scared that he's going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Nikola Vucevic, who is like, why he not out there?
Unless a team called and was like, hey, We're gonna come get him in the offseason. This is what we got for you. Package it up for me, wrap it up, and make sure it stays safe.
I need you to bubble wrap that. I am paying for the shipping and handling.
I'll be back. So thank you. Just go ahead and take care of that for me.
I'm gonna need you to handle that for me, and appreciate that, brother. Thanks for getting that out to us as quickly as possible. It's just, listen, I love the idea of moving on from Lonzo and getting a first back. I hope that it is the case. It just doesn't seem.
I'm fine with 2 seconds. I mean, honestly,
I was fine with 2 seconds at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm fine with 2 seconds for Lonzo. Like, to be 100% honest, like, don't make no mistake about it. Lonzo healthy, is he worth more than 2 seconds? Yes, but Lonzo almost had a season-ending injury this year. He's just missed He's missed 12 games multiple times this year. So, like,
yeah.
I get it. Yes, we all know a Lonzo Ball that can stay healthy is worth way more. It's not happening, people. Like,
that's not the Lonzo Ball that we
happening.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Is I love Lonzo. I love, the idea of what he can be, and how fun that can be. I'm also realistic. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. But hey, man, we got to talk about this big man rotation that could be coming here to Chicago, and may already. You never know. There's possibly a point guard in there. There's probably
in the big man rotation.
In the big man rotation. Come on, Hayes. We know. There's probably a point guard in there. I said possibly. More than likely, you're gonna get some 5 minutes out of Trey Jones. But we'll talk about that after we hear a word from FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it so easy to back them with the spreads, totals, and game props. And with the tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on college hoops action all tournament long. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com.
All right, Patrick. Yeah, I haven't had a Patrick this week, so there you go. That was the one Patrick.
Let's do it, Cordero. Yeah.
You know what's so funny is that now that people are starting, like, somebody literally left a voicemail. They're like, why do you use Hayes? Your name's Cordero. Like, nobody else is gonna have that. You could have just used your name. Shut up.
You want to know what I love? You want to know what I love being at like ESPN in certain spots?
Yeah.
White people not understanding the stage name.
They don't at all, bro.
When there's so many people with stage names, we call Mad Dog Mad Dog. His name is Chris Russo. Nobody walks up to Mad Dog and goes, "Hey, Chris, how you doing?" Like, stage names are normal.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I will say it is weird though, like getting emails from like companies that want to like promote on the podcast. Shout out to Cigars International who I got on. Can I say that?
I don't know if you can say that here.
Anyway, where they're like, Hayes, we would really like to sit down with you and discuss. Is like, I made it. Nonetheless, with that said, Pat, I want to talk about this big man rotation real quick before we get out of here. We saw with the return of Nikola Vucevic, it left Jalen Smith completely out of the rotation in the last game. Now, that could be that they just wanted to take a look at Vuce. They want to make sure Vuce got ample minutes to take a look at how he was recovering, things like that. I think in a time where we are running a lot of 3-guard lineups, and Jalen Smith and Zach Collins have both played 4s at different times in the career, do you think we start seeing a more traditional big man rotation from the Bulls? Or do you think we're going to see one of these guys always be left out? Is it going to be like, if we need more defense and physicality, maybe it's Zach. If we need more 3-point shooting, then maybe it goes to Jalen and Zach sits. Like, do you think that's what we're going to see? Or do you think it's just going to be somebody's just left out the rest of the remaining, 16, 17 games left on the season?
I think that you may see a more traditional big man rotation just because it does seem like, one, I don't think they're going to play Vooch a ton. I think you might have got
said shipping and handling.
I don't think they're going to play Vooch a ton here down the stretch, although if they make the playoffs, they may play him a little bit more. Maybe he really was dealing with calf tightness. Who knows? But I also look at the big man rotation, and it's based on the teams that we're going to be going up against, right? There's some teams on this list that do have bigs that you're going to have to combat with, and now you actually have a rotation that can. Also, the fact that, and I don't think that Sticks is a consistent enough 3-pointer for you to throw him out there at the power forward position, but defensively, can he stick around with some power forwards in this league? Yeah, so I think there's some where you can play him, actually have a big man lineup out there a couple of times. I think that those things are just things that will help the Bulls in the long run, especially now if you need to go big. And I'll say this, Hayes, if it does come down to us actually making the playoffs, you're going to have no choice but to have some kind of big man rotation, and you want to work that in before you get to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are Evan Mobley is just hooping.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, it don't matter.
No, we're getting clapped. I'm just talking about matchups. We're getting clapped. I'm not saying we win it.
It don't like it at that point. It's just like, hey, just dig in and hold on and wish that you can get a punch in. Like that's what that is. Like I mean,
hey, big man, tall man, small man, ball man, Cavs in 5.
It's Cavs in 3. It may be what it is. Like
Cavs in 1, but we're gonna watch the last 3.
So who knows, man. With Billy Donovan, you just never know, right? Like Billy Donovan, this is the deepest we've ever been at a center position under Billy Donovan's tenure, right?
Yeah.
And I like to think that maybe Billy Donovan finally can get a little bit more creative, but then again, I see Billy Donovan and I see him and I'm looking and I can absolutely see him be like, all right, bet. So what that tells me is that if we get in foul trouble, then we can go to the other big. Trey, how you feel playing 4? Like it's still gonna be something crazy.
He's
bro.
Getting some minutes.
Yeah. How do you feel about playing the 4? If you get in foul trouble, it's cool. We can bring in Jalen. Like you just never know under Billy Donovan, right? But I guess we'll see. We shall see what Billy Donovan does do. I just think Sticks has, while I agree, he's not always been a consistent 3-point shooter, but I think he's been so good in the effort that he gives. Like to see him just sitting on the bench, not giving any minutes at a time, where like Patrick Williams was still giving 13 minutes, but he absolutely sucked. Yeah. Like it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, listen, I mean, like I think you're gonna work. They're gonna try and work Patrick Williams back in.
True.
No matter what, just because they have this. Patrick Williams is the Braxton Jones of the Chicago Bulls.
Bro, I say that all the time on Bears Central. Like literally, I compare those two all the time.
You just go, what's happening?
And Zach Pickens is Dalen Terry.
Nah, Zach Pickens not as fun.
Oh, Zach Pickens has no personality.
He tries a little bit. He cool people. He cool people. I don't get to interview him like you do. I just mean on the field though. Like even when he plays, he just kind of comes out there. That's because he's focused on not getting cooked.
Okay.
But the problem that I think is I'm trying to think. That's a good. Who's the Dalen Terry of the Chicago Bears? Where you just go,
Tyler Scott?
No. Maybe Josh Blackwell.
I can see that.
Like gives you production. Like you can see some production, but it's like I don't want him to be the starter.
I can see that.
Maybe Josh Blackwell. That's a wildly disrespectful conversation because
is it disrespectful or is it accurate?
One or the other. But no, man. I think what's funny to me is with actually going out there and having a legitimate big man rotation, how does Patrick Williams find his way back into that power forward spot rotation? I think that's going to be, is it going to be forced or is it going to be something that's seamless? That's going to be something to see.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, you guys, we'll be talking about it all here. We'll be here after the game tonight, so make sure you guys stay in tune and locked in with us. If you want to follow Pat, you can do so at Pat the Designer. If you want to follow me, you can do so at CEO Hayes, collectively at Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV. Basically, if you want to find Fubo TV, apparently as well. So if you want to find us, you can find us there. Love you guys. Go Bulls. Peace, y'all.
Peace.